It all comes down to this, the Women's College World Series Championship Finals. Texas Tech faces Texas in Game 1 tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN, also streaming on the ESPN app.
Yes, hello, it is I, Danhausen here, battle damage. Speaking of which, I won my match, and as you all know, the Knicks have been winning their matches. Swept. So, speaking of which, Stephen A. Smith, your checks have cleared so far. However, if you want to keep this uncursing going, perhaps Danhausen's going to need his own TV show, or more monies, or perhaps those courtside seats, no big deal. You have until tip-off time to decide what happens with the curse.
This guy again showing up on First Take. What do you think of those demands?
I didn't hear the demands. The producers was in my ear. Thank God I didn't hear what he has to say. He'll have to say, no. I mean, people that are serious about this stuff, they don't blackmail you. They take their position and they hold to it. He's trying to blackmail. That does not work. He's dampening his reputation by engaging in blackmail.
Better TV, though.
Hey,
how would Brick feel about being blackmailed?
Oh, I'd have to deal with him. I'd have to pull out.
That's right. Not on television.
Take him
Disney
out.
program.
Take him out.
Monica McNutt joins us now here on First Take. What's up, girl?
Good morning. Good morning.
Eminem.
What's happening, SA?
I love it.
What's up?
He mentioned being serious. We're about to get serious about what's going to happen tonight. Let's do it. Well, whose finals run is more surprising to you? The way the Knicks were able to sweep their way here, or the fact that the Spurs were able to overcome their youth and take out the best teams in the West?
Ooh. You know, I can't. You got to look at the regular season when you answer this question. And the Spurs were a legitimate 2 seed and had the Thunder's number all season. So to me, based on the questions that you had during the Eastern Conference regular season, I think it's the Knicks getting here. Because there was real reason to be concerned that Boston would take them out, that Detroit would take them out. And so to me, it's been the Knicks.
Eminem, refresh our memory as you cover the Knicks on a daily basis. Do a great job, by the way. Very proud of you. But educate us about how the Knicks looked against the Spurs in your estimation in the couple of meetings they had.
So there were 2 regular season meetings, and then there was the NBA Cup meeting, right? And now, I was looking at these last night, SA, so I'm glad you brought this up. There are sort of asterisks. There are things to consider in each meeting, right? At the Garden, the Spurs were coming off of, I believe it was a 10-game stretch. It was like the end of their road trip. So the Knicks won that game. They played really well. Then in the Cup, I thought that was maybe the most balanced opportunity. You got to see both teams at their best. Now, Wemby was still on a minutes restriction. I think the starting lineup was different at that point. Yeah. And for the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson had 15 rebounds, 10 offensive in that game. Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kolek also go off down the stretch in that game, and the Knicks pull away. Then there was the last meeting, New Year's Eve, in which Julian Champagnie had 36 points. He hit 11 threes in that game. He was out of this world, right? And the Spurs took command in that one, but I think Josh Hart was also out in that one. So I actually think that the Knicks and Spurs have played well. The Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns versus Victor Wembanyama of it all is something to watch, because I think Towns has played well versus Victor, and he's a guy that can move him out of the paint if they don't well. Then in the Cup, I thought that was maybe the most balanced opportunity. You got to see both teams at their best. Now, Wemby was still on a minutes restriction. I think the starting lineup was different at that point. Yeah. And for the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson had 15 rebounds, 10 offensive in that game. Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kolek also go off down the stretch in that game, and the Knicks pull away. Then there was the last meeting, New Year's Eve, in which Julian Champagnie had 36 points. He hit 11 threes in that game. He was out of this world, right? And the Spurs took command in that one, but I think Josh Hart was also out in that one. So I actually think that the Knicks and Spurs have played well. The Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns versus Victor Wembanyama of it all is something to watch, because I think Towns has played well versus Victor, and he's a guy that can move him out of the paint if they don't opt to have him guard Josh Hart and be in that roaming position.
More surprising run, is it Knicks or Spurs to you, Wilbon?
Spurs. The Spurs had to go through the champs. The Knicks didn't have to go through anything like that. I certainly had the Knicks at the beginning of the year getting at least to the conference finals.
So did I.
There was no question about that. You looked at the West, the reason that the Spurs are so impressive, they had to deal with the Western Conference. You can say certain teams didn't play up to full potential. Denver, maybe one of them, when you looked at the beginning of the season in the West. You got Oklahoma City sitting up there that a lot of people thought they were going to win multiple, I don't mean 2, a run of championships. Yeah. I did not expect that. I thought that the league is too good right now to allow a repeat. But the Spurs having to go through an Oklahoma City team that had home court advantage. Now, I know if you tell me that J-Dub is not going to be out there, that does sort of skew the answer a little bit. But still, Oklahoma City all season was a favorite to win the Western Conference. So the Spurs, toppling them is a surprise. The Knicks getting this far is absolutely should not have surprised. Remember,
it was finals or bust for the Knicks.
We didn't start to believe in the Celtics until late March or early April.
Yeah, but you can't act like they weren't there, though. But I hear you in terms of expectation. The Knicks
expectation.
It's always like finals or bust. When they made the coaching change, that was what the expectation was for the Knicks.
I'm more surprised by the Knicks.
Why?
Because of how they did it. See, you got to remember, we watched Oklahoma City lose 4 or 5, and although it was the regular season, there are certain things that happen during the regular season, Mike Wilbonich, and you know this. It just tweaks your thinking to some degree. Like for me, it was the press conference after they had lost. I think they had lost 3 straight to the Spurs. And you're asking Jalen Williams after, why can't y'all beat this team? And he's sitting there looking at the press, voice was low, and he's like, they've got this guy, there's 7-5. It was like, you could see how perplexed he was. Like, we got to figure this out. We can't figure this out. And we all knew that it was a collision course that was imminent between OKC and San Antonio. I remember when the Lakers went on their torrid run and Luka Doncic averaging 40 and they winning like 15 to 16 and stuff like that. And they still hadn't put a dent in the Spurs because the Spurs won 26 to 28 games in that same span. It was clear that it was OKC and San Antonio, and that's what it was coming down to. With the New York Knicks, yeah, you had them going to the conference finals. I had them going to the finals. But why did I feel that way? Because Tatum had torn his ACL, his Achilles. Damian Lillard had tore his Achilles when he was in Milwaukee with Giannis before he got moved to Portland. Tyrese Halliburton, who had been the Knicks' nemesis in back-to-back years, tore his Achilles in the finals. So I'm like, by default, the New York Knicks should get to the finals. But then when the playoffs arrive and they're down 2-1 to Atlanta, and I look like I almost had a stroke on the air, and then they go and tee off 11 straight, and they running cats out of the building, up 47 in the first half in Atlanta, blew the Sixers out by 30, took out Cleveland by 37. You're like, damn, okay, this is a little bit different. Mikal Bridges hitting shots. OG Anunoby didn't play a few games. Why? Because, he had messed up his injury. And then all of a sudden you're like this, wait a minute. And then Shaman comes off the bench, and McBride comes off the bench, and Robinson comes off the bench. You're like, wait a minute now. I'm not. And then they look fresh. And then you got Karl Anthony Towns being a facilitator instead of trying to play bully ball down there with his big feet and his questionable feet and knees. And I'm like, yo, he's out there making it happen. I'm like, I didn't see this coming.
Stephen A., to that extent, I hear you. I get it. The Knicks, more than one thing can be true.
Not on first take. But anyway, go ahead.
More than one thing can be true. The Knicks have played fabulously. Period. New paragraph. They didn't beat anybody that would impress anybody. They didn't. It's not their fault. They beat the daylights out of whoever they were confronted with.
As they were supposed to.
But don't tell me Atlanta and Philly and Cleveland are worth a damn. Not relative to OKC confronting the champs, the defending champs, confronting San Antonio. I hear you about that. And they clearly were spooked by the sight of Wembanyama, right? And all 7 foot, whatever it is of him out there. But the Knicks did exactly what they were supposed to do. That is why I have no idea. It's rare in 45 years of covering the NBA playoffs. I have no idea who I think is going to win this series. None.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks have been so impressive in this 11-game run since being down 2-1 to Atlanta. Mike Brown has done things on the fly. A guy who has his own experiences in big-time basketball in Cleveland and, of course, at Golden State and did a hell of a job as coach of the year in Sacramento. There's so many reasons to look at the Knicks and say, okay, they've been the most impressive team. But then they beat the champs.
Yeah.
They beat the champs and going in and winning in Game 7, that's, man.
It is incredibly impressive, and this is a challenging question. I think you can side with either team. But I will say, the champs, to me, did not look